Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when and where you're tuning in. God has blessed us with another beautiful day, so we might as well just get up and get at it. I want to talk to you just a little bit about diving in, just going for the gusto. And I'll tell you another little story about my dad. It's really had an impact on my career, and my life for that matter. I think it's a very valuable lesson, and I have applied it every step along my journey. And it's worked 100% of the time. See, my dad grew up in a little town in eastern Kentucky called Talby, Kentucky. I guess if you spend enough generations down there, sooner or later they name a holler after you. And that's exactly what it is. It's a little holler in Breathitt County, Kentucky. And for several generations, my family has been right there working as farmers. It's something I'm very proud of. I think farming is one of the most noble professions in the world. It's certainly the most important. But as a young man, my dad was walking behind a team of mules plowing a field, dreaming of something bigger, at least something brighter. See, this was about the time that electricity had just come along, so Dad could turn on the radio and listen to all the sights and sounds. But he could only dream of what was beyond these hollers. So he dreamed of getting out of there someday. Well, in the 8th grade, my dad had to quit school and tend to the farm because his dad became sick. And in those days, getting the crops in and taking care of the animals and tending to the farms was far more important than an education. Well, Dad never went back to school. But after his dad got better, when my dad turned 16, he put everything he owned in the back seat of an old beat-up car, and he headed out for the nearest big city, which was Cincinnati, Ohio, where I'm sitting right now. Now, as he rolled into the city, the only knowledge and skills that he had was farm work. And they weren't even far advanced with their farm. Remember, he was plowing with a team of mules. But as he rolled into the city, he knew that he needed to get a job and get a job quickly, because he was going to be living in the back seat of that car until he could get enough money to pay rent with. So he started just walking down the sidewalks looking for a job, and he saw a sign in the window that said welders wanted. Now, my dad didn't even know what the word welder meant. But he stepped inside the shop and he asked the first gentleman if he could see the foreman. He went and got the foreman, and as the foreman walked up to my dad, he stuck out his hand and said, "How you doing? I'm your new welder." The foreman said, "Can you weld?" Well, Dad looked around the shop at all the men hammering and brazing and welding. Dad said, "I can do anything any other man in this place can do." Now, in fairness, the man didn't ask Dad if he knew how to weld, or if he even knew what the word weld meant. He just asked, "Can you weld?" So I think Dad answered honestly. Well, Dad got the job, ended up working there for 12 years, and I'm told he was a really good welder. I'm sure that wasn't the case in the beginning. There had to be a pretty sharp learning curve, because welding's not easy. But the point is, Dad got in there by sheer determination. He knew that he needed to get a job. If he was going to fulfill this dream that he had of living in a bigger city and raising a family someday, he had to get a job. And in those 12 years that he worked there, he met my mother, married her. They bought a house. They had me, raised me for a few years. He went on to work in other factories. But he was only there because he had the guts to just walk into that place. Now, don't get me wrong, we all have fears, and that's the problem, is sometimes we let fear stand in the way. Sometimes we let fear talk us out of things. Oh, we can't do that. We're not good enough to do that. We're always going to have fear. That's a human emotion. But we got to have courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is just having the guts to do things. One of my favorite quotes is a John Wayne quote that says, "Courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway." I keep that quote posted on my wall in my office because there's many times when I have to just use it. My entire career has been that way, you know. I've lived by the rule of fake it till you make it, take the leap, no risk, no reward. I mean, that's been the underlying secret to the entire trajectory of my career. You know, I went from working in retail to being an electrician, and then I got my electrician license. Then I became an HVAC mechanic, a boiler mechanic, a chief engineer. I ran hotels. I've ran federal office buildings. I ran shopping malls. And today I invest and develop and manage billions of dollars of commercial real estate. But in every single one of those cases, I dove in first and then figured out how to swim later. And I'm not saying that's always the best way to do things. Certainly, there was a lot of stumbling blocks along my way. And there's been many times when I've swung and missed. You know, as Babe Ruth says, we're going to miss every pitch that we don't swing at. So you might as well swing, because you're going to hit one every once in a while. And sometimes it's going to be a great hit. You know, education is very important. And you know, following the right path and doing the right things, that's very important. But you're always going to have that courage to just take that first step, to just dive in, to just go for it. What do you got to lose? I couldn't think of anything worse than getting to the end of my journey and looking back and wondering, what if? What if I had tried that? What if I had went for it? I want to get to the end of my journey and look back and see the times that I swung and missed, but also see the times that I took a chance. I took the leap. Because that's what living life's about. I mean, what do we have to lose? Worst case scenario is we fail. That's okay. That's just a verb. It happens. Yeah, just don't get to the end of your journey and look back and wonder what could have, would have, should have. Just go for it. Go for it today. Don't let fear stand in your way. So that's my little positive message today, something that's really helped me along my career. I hope you found some value in it, or at least found me entertaining. And if you did like it, or you did find it, you know, a positive, uplifting message or whatever, will you please do me a favor and hit that like and subscription button? I'm brand new to this YouTube, and I have a podcast called The Blue Collar Executive and a book titled The Blue Collar Executive. Podcast has been around about 7 years, but I'm just now starting the video channel where I'm actually, sitting here in front of the camera talking to you, and it's a little nerve-wracking. I'm just jumping in. I'll figure this out as I go, but I'm jumping right into this. But obviously, to sustain these channels, it's all about likes and subscriptions, I guess. So if you could do me a great favor and just hit the like and subscription, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to hit it. But if you do, I really appreciate it. And if I can ever do anything for you, let me know. If you search The Blue Collar Executive, I'm on every podcast channel, my website, bluecollarexecutive.net. You can just look me up. You'll find me. My information's out there. I'm pretty easy to find, which I don't know is necessarily a good thing, but I'm just saying that don't ever hesitate to reach out to me via email or any other way. And I'm happy to help any way I can. Just trying to get out here, stay positive, and shed a little light in the world. And I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thanks so much for listening.